The roots of morality for Jews are found in the Old Testament. For this reason, Christian morality can be traced to the same source. Morality is a fusion of teaching attainable from natural or scientific law as well as supernatural communication from God. Morality is divinely revealed. From the New Testament, it is written, "In many and various ways God spoke of old to our fathers by the prophets. But in these last days he has spoken to us by a Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, through whom also he created the world." Hebrews 1:1-2. I will say again that as Creator, I have not communicated either divinely or directly with any prophet or with any of my creations on earth until this revelation. This in no way denigrates the sound and profound teachings found in both the Old and New Testaments. I have provided mankind with the ability to understand what is right and just in order to survive. This has been well learned by the ancient writers of your Jewish and Christian holy books. To live life by the principles found in these books is a good thing. The Ten Commandments state very succinctly what can be called moral absolutes. I note with interest that the Hebrew Ten Commandments, the Protestant Ten Commandments, and the Catholic Ten Commandments, though very similar in thought, are not exactly the same. As is true for the Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews believe that their God is the true God, and no other God should be worshipped before him. Clearly, you can see that not all these positions can be right, unless they are talking about the same God. In fact, enough differences exist that it is not possible that they see God exactly the same way. This is not an issue to me. As creator of all life, I understand that mankind is still struggling to make sense out of their existence. Contrary to what has been said by others, I am not a jealous God. Jealousy is a negative force, and one I have no reason to possess. It is stated that thou shalt not kill in all three versions of the Ten Commandments. The killing of others is clearly sanctioned in the Old Testament. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for God made man in his own image. Genesis 9:6. Let me as Creator state clearly what I have said about this moral issue in other sections of the Word. Unless you must kill to protect life, it is not right to destroy another. This would be true for any murder, even those sanctioned by leaders of society. To release back into society someone who has killed and has even the remotest capacity to harm others is again unjustifiable. If the cost to safeguard these prisoners seems a high price, remember the moral cost of taking another life is immeasurably higher. It is stated that thou shalt not steal in all three versions of the Ten Commandments. I am aware the act of stealing has been justified because sometimes circumstances make it the only way to obtain food or other necessities of life. Your societies have charities and welfare states to address the poverty of your citizens. This is a rational response to a very real situation. The noble Quran teaches that the person who steals should have his hand cut off, stating, as to the thief, male or female, cut off his or her hands, a punishment by way of example from Allah for their crime, and Allah is exalted in power, full of wisdom. Al-Ma'idah 5:38. Let me as Creator state clearly the word about this moral issue. The great leaders of your past have been wise in regard to stealing. Stealing should never be justified or sanctioned by any of you no matter where you shall dwell on earth. There have been very rare instances when extenuating circumstances where stealing was absolutely necessary to either preserve life or save a life, but even here wisdom should be the basis for the act. I must further add that punishment for the act of stealing is justified and should be addressed by those in charge with this responsibility. The mutilation of the human body or death for stealing is far too severe, brutal, and inhumane. This is not my way.